In this video, we are going to be talking about Azure release pipeline with Selenium UI Test for our continuous integration development delivery with Azure DevOps course. So we have been talking about Azure build, Azure release, and Azure build agent, Azure release agent, and how to work with the deployment groups and also the agent pools and stuff. So we have already installed the agent in our machine while we're trying to install the custom agent in our local machine. And also we saw how we can work with the deployment group while deploying our application within our local internet information server. The next step is going to be the execution of our Selenium UI test that we have in our repo. So now to do that, I'm going to flip to my Azure DevOps service and I will quickly show you how to configure a stage for the Selenium UI test as well. All right, so this is our Azure DevOps service. And if I go to the release once again, you can see that the release 2 has got passed. And now I'm just going to do an edit with our existing release. And here I'm going to add one more stage. I can probably do something like this. As you can see, this is a new stage. And in here, I'm going to be running the test, which is nothing but the automated test. So you can see that the name is a little misleading. It says like run automated test from test manager. Of course, you don't really have to do that. You can probably select this and you can change the settings from there. So it's going to be Selenium UI test, close over here, and you can see Selenium UI test has created. And then I'm going to add the job for it. And you can see that we now have this task here. It says that test for test plan. And you can see here, it's exactly the same thing that you can create even in the build pipeline, which we have already discussed as well. So I'm just going to go to the run on agent here. And this is where our agent pools come in handy. Well, as you know that our Udemy pool that we created in our previous videos of this course is up and running. Maybe I can go back and check that very quickly so that I will see that if it is really running or maybe it's closed. So I'm going to go over here. And if I go to the agent pool and go to the Udemy pool, I'll go to the agent. Oh, it seems like it's offline. So let me quickly enable that. So I just had this doubt whether this guy is going to be up and running. To the agent, and this is our agent. So I'm just gonna run that using run.cmd. There you go. It's now connecting and you can see that the agent is now online, which is amazing. And now everything is all set to go. And I guess we are pretty good to go right now. We already have the drop folder with our Selenium UI test code over here, and you can see that we have the Chrome driver, IE driver, and all those sort of jazz over here to run the very super simple Selenium UI test. And I guess there is a small problem with the code. I probably know what to do with that, because as you can see, our localhost :81 is what is the application being deployed. But I guess in our test, we don't really have that in the 81 port. It is pointing to the 8080 port. So I can quickly go to the repos. I'm just going to open into a new tab and I'll go to the Selenium test over here. And you can see that it is go to URL localhost. So probably I can just do an edit, and I'm gonna set the URL to 81. I'm gonna hit commit. So updated unit test 1 with the port number. And I'm directly going to check into the master branch, which is kind of not a practice in any company, but I'm just going to commit it for now because again, you can see that it's not going to be a big deal at all. So you can create a pull request so that you can actually see that check-in being happening. But since it's in master, you don't really have to worry about it. And now if you go to the pipeline and if you go to the build, you can see that the auto build has been triggered for us. It's automatically running because now we have already configured the continuous integration system, which is awesome. And we'll also have a new build this time, which is going to be something that we'll be using for our execution. So it's going to be 2019-06.07.1. So probably need to wait for that particular build to be available for our drop folder. All right. So you can see that it's anyways going to take the latest artifact, so which is pretty cool. The time while we execute this test, things will be fine. And the next thing is I'm not going to be running the test in parallelism right now. I'll be showing you that later. But as of now, this is all the configuration that you probably need on the agent side. Coming back to the test, as you can see, there is this assembly where the test assembly is actually very less compared to the one that we had before. So for that, I probably am going to delete this particular task, because this is not the one which I probably am looking for. So if I just hit an add, and then if I search for like test here, you can see that we now get something called as Visual Studio Test. So probably the reason is because the template that we had before really doesn't really have that particular template of Visual Studio Test. But if you see right now, you have Visual Studio Test, which is something that you can run the Selenium, Appium, Code UI Test, etc. Using this particular task. So I'm just going to add that, and you can see that this is the assembly that I'm looking for. So I'm actually going to add the test. Along with that, I'm also going to add the Selenium DLL. This was the DLL. This is the exact DLL which is going to be produced by our test code. So I'm going to have that as well. And we're also going to mention that this is going to be a UI test. So we need to specify that test mix contains the UI test over here. So I'm going to select that. And if I just come all the way down here, if there is any platform versions, you can see that I'm selecting the latest, which is 2019, which is fine. There is no setting files, and there is no override test run parameters, or there is no custom test adapters. So I'm just going to leave all of them as it is. The test is very, very super simple, and even collect advanced diagnostics in case of catastrophic failures. So you can do that as well, which is checked in. So now I'm just gonna save all of them. So I'm just gonna say added UI test stage, and I'm gonna hit OK, and this way our pipeline now have the Selenium UI test as well, right? And now if I just try to create a release, you can see that it's going to take the latest version of the drop folder, which is something but the one which we are executing it now. I guess this is not the latest. If I just go back to the release once again, to the pipeline and build, and if I go here, it's still executing. It's still not completed the thing. It seems like the agent has received a shutdown signal. This can happen when the agent service has been stopped. I could see that it is still running. Maybe I can just cancel this build, and if I go to the build again, and if I just go here, and if I queue new build, it's going to ask me which agent pool, which is going to be our Udemy pool. Now let's see if it's getting that particular job to be executed. Oops, it seems like it's taking the time which is beyond what the expected time is. It's taking so much of time. So if I go to the settings here, I can see that there is a job currently being running for a duration of 17 minutes, which is kind of unacceptable. And we have also canceled this particular job, as you can see here. Manually start the agent is cancelled, so we have also cancelled that, but for some reason it is still hanging around somewhere on the cloud or something like that. I'm not sure about that. So I'm going to restart this particular agent, and then I'll be back. So I'm going to run the agent once again over here, and it seems like the agent is connecting to the server. So there you go. And now if I go back to the agent pool, hopefully we have this agent pool over here in the Udemy pool. And if I go to the agent pool with the agents here, you can see that currently the status is idle, meaning it is currently not running anything or doing any busy job. So now if I just go back to the release and build, and then if I go in here, and then if I queue the build, and then I'm going to commit it. So if I see this is the build with the port number change, and you can see that the agent is now ready to run the test for us. So it's ready to build stuff for us. So there you go. It's currently restoring, and things are running pretty much as expected. And now if I go to the summary, you can see that I have a drop file. And if I go to the view contents, you should see the UI test as well along with it, which is amazing. So the build is successfully completed. Now if I go to the release, you can see that if I refresh this, probably you're gonna have a new version of drop folder. So if I go to the release once again over here, and if I do an edit, so we already have a Selenium test. So if I just do a create release, you can see that this is the newer version of the drop folder that we did not had before. And I'm just going to create a run here. So the release 3 is currently running, and you can see that the deploy app is currently in progress, which is the deploying the application within our internet information server. And once the deployment is done, we are then going to run the automation test over here in our local machine. There you go. The deployment is completed successfully. The next step is going to be running the Selenium test. So hopefully we should see a Chrome browser being spawned for our execution. You can see that the Selenium test is currently running. There you go. So now it's running the Selenium test for me in a different window. As you can see that it has executed the whole test, which is awesome. So it opened the browser, then it also executed the test for me. There you go. And you can see that the test has been successfully completed. The successful has been come here as well. So now if I go to the succeed, you can also see that the VS test is also successfully completed. And now if you go and see the log, you can see that the test has been successfully completed, and there is this TRX file. And if I go to this particular link over here, you can also see the report which is being generated from our Selenium test execution that happened in our Azure DevOps, which is awesome. As you can see here, our whole report has come in within this particular machine. So you can also download the TRX file if you want, and you can see the whole output coming in here, which is awesome. So this is how we can run our test within our machine. And now you can also see that we could able to see the test plan being enabled for us because we made the first test execution for the Google auth mechanism that we were writing before. So you can also do the manual testing from here. And you can also see the run that we had made, and the test got successfully completed with a pass rate of 100%, which is awesome. So this is how you can run a test with the Azure DevOps service. In our next video, we'll even go deeper and understand how we can change the Selenium test and how we can run the same using the Azure DevOps release pipeline.